There is no failure. You use failure as an excuse to be a loser. Author Vahid Zekavati. Copyright VMZ Production. Introduction. Deep down, you know there is a problem. This suffocating feeling where, just as you were about to take flight, a sneaky voice in your mind screams, "You failed. You're not good enough. You will fall again." This sinister whisper has a name. You call it failure. But I tell you, it is the biggest lie ever fed to you to keep you quiet and subservient, an alias for your inability to accept responsibility for your actions. You desperately need this lie to forgive yourself, but this illusory forgiveness has imprisoned you in a destructive cycle of half-starts and bitter endings. Until you cast aside this grand deception and accept that what you experienced was merely an undesirable result of past decisions, you will never break free from this invisible cage. This book is not here to give you false hope. I am here to expose your true pain, show it to you, and teach you how to stop blaming others for it. Only by accepting the truth of your wrong actions can you truly rebuild the reality of your life.
Chapter 1. Why do I feel like I'm an eternal loser? I understand your pain. You wake up every day with this question, living with the heavy burden that I am a loser, and you go to sleep with it. You are not alone. This label of failure placed upon you by society and your own fears is a psychological prison whose walls you have built with your own half-hearted confessions. You constantly tell yourself, "I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't deserve a better life." And these sentences are not reality, but merely excuses for why you stopped trying. Let's confess. For years, you have hidden behind the name failure to avoid facing the truth. But the painful truth is, you haven't failed. You've just run away from the responsibility of accepting the wrong things you did. This escape comes at a cost. You have handed over your power to change the future to this empty word, and that is precisely where you must begin to question this entire mental game. This suffocating label of failed has become a tightly worn, restricting suit that you willingly put on to avoid the pressure of future effort. It is a perfect justification for stagnation, an endless apology to a world you believe you do not deserve. This is the ultimate mental trap. You think failure is an external event when you have turned it into an internal belief that pre-condemns all your subsequent actions to doom. Wake up. You did not fail. You merely lied to yourself to more easily hide under that paralyzing identity. The moment you discard this empty word, you will have nowhere left to hide. This is the first shock. You are not a loser. You have merely been an irresponsible player, hiding behind this hollow word for fear of judgment. The identity of the eternal loser is so deeply rooted in your subconscious that even when you succeed, a small voice whispers, "It was luck. It's not real. You'll fall again soon." This is your mind's defense mechanism, designed to keep you safe in the familiar, secure state of failure, even if that state is full of pain. For your mind, the familiar ache of failure is far more comfortable than the excitement and uncertainty of success. You must recognize this mechanism. Failure is a self-sabotage tactic you created to protect yourself from the pain of trying. But the price of this protection is your entire life. If you genuinely want to break this vicious cycle, you must have the courage to stand in the mirror and ask, what was the action I took that led to this undesirable result? Not, why did I fail? Why are you so attached to the word failure? Because confessing to wrong actions is much harder than confessing to being a failure. Confessing to a mistake means accepting weakness, accepting the need for change, and accepting that you were in complete control of the outcome. But confessing to failure is easy, a deterministic word that blames everything on luck, fate, or external circumstances. And that is where you surrender all your power to forces outside yourself. You think that by accepting failure, you have forgiven yourself, but in reality, you have stripped yourself of the power to act again. You can only change your reality by accepting the absolute responsibility for your actions, not by being the victim of a damned word. You must burn this label and write your new title, I am the creator of desirable results. You must make a promise to yourself right now. Any undesirable result you get is not proof of your failure, but an official notice from the universe telling you that method did not work. Please try another. You only fail when you stop experimenting and accept that the undesirable result is the end of the road. You promised yourself to finish this journey, but you have constantly deceived yourself. This book is here to expose that deception and force you to face your actions. You are not a loser, you just made a series of mistakes. Do you have the courage to accept these mistakes so you can be permanently freed from that poisonous identity and awaken?
Chapter 2. If failure doesn't exist, then what is this damned pain? Let me be blunt. The pain you speak of does not stem from failure, but from cognitive dissonance, the clash between the image you had of yourself and the result you achieved today. This agonizing gap is not the gap between success and failure, but the gap between utilized potential and wasted potential. This is the voice of your conscience screaming, "You were worth more than this. Why did you underperform?" You mistakenly interpret this voice as the voice of failure, when it is your true self fighting for freedom. This pain is a gift, a precise warning system telling you that you must urgently change course, not stop where you are and die. You have sanctified this suffering, wearing it as a badge of honor and telling others, "See how much I have suffered?" This is a defensive trick by your mind to escape further action. This pain is actually the raw energy of your disappointment, energy that could have been converted into action, change, and growth, but you have imprisoned it and allowed it to decay within you. If you can feel this pain so deeply, then you possess an equal amount of power to create desirable results. You cannot be both an indifferent person and feel this intense agony. So confess, you care about a better life, but out of fear that this pain will return, you pretend you have failed and surrendered. Are you ready to break down this defensive wall and turn this painful energy into jet fuel for your next flight? This pain is an emotional feedback loop, just like technical feedback in a system. When you burn your hand, the pain forces you to pull back. When you encounter an undesirable result in life, the pain compels you to review your previous actions. If you see the pain as failure, you simply sit and cry, saying, "My hand is burned, so I will never touch anything again." But if you see it as feedback, you immediately ask, "What did I touch that I shouldn't have?" and act more consciously next time. You must sever this association. Pain does not equal failure. Pain equals the need for a change in strategy. You have deprived yourself of this truth for years, and this deprivation has kept you stuck in the same repetitive, motionless state. Imagine a scientist who has failed 1,000 times to invent a light bulb. Does he sit and cry, "I am a failure"? No, he excitedly declares, "I have found 1,000 ways that do not lead to a light bulb."
Your pain is precisely the excitement the scientist feels from discovering 1,000 dead-end paths. But instead of focusing on discovering undesirable methods, you have focused on the undesirable identity, the failure. This difference in focus changes your entire life. If you want to be free from this pain, you must accept it as a sign of courage. Courage to experiment, courage to experience, and courage to find the method that actually works. This suffering no longer kills you, it builds you. So let this damned pain awaken you. Instead of drowning in it, look at it with open eyes and ask, what is this pain telling me was the wrong action I took? Not, why am I so unlucky? This is the first step toward freedom, accepting pain as a teacher, not an executioner. This pain is not an antidote, but the truth itself, pushing you toward change. When you understand this, you no longer run from the pain, you welcome it, because you know that every time you hurt, you are one step closer to discovering the right method.
Chapter 3: How have my stupid past decisions stolen my future? You must accept this bitter truth. No one has stolen your future from you but yourself. All the undesirable results of your present are the cumulative outcome of actions, choices, and yes, stupid decisions you made in the past. You cannot sit back and say, I failed, while you chose to do less work, start later, or resist change. This was a choice, not fate. It is hard, I know, but until you wholeheartedly confess, I created this situation, you can never change it. Playing the victim is easy. You just have to blame the world, luck, or others. But this game costs you your power. Every time you say, I failed, you are actually saying, I have no power to change. But every time you whisper, I made a mistake, the power to act is immediately revived within you. This is a crucial choice. Do you want to be a victim of the name failure, or be responsible for your actions to create desirable results? When you play the victim game, you allow the world to determine your destiny. You constantly say, I couldn't, circumstances didn't allow it, luck wasn't on my side. These are all protective lies designed to prevent you from trying again. A successful person, when faced with an undesirable result, asks, what did I do wrong? But a victim always asks, who or what caused this to happen to me? You must end this childish game. The real thief of your future is not anyone else but the small daily procrastinations and the unconscious momentary decisions you made. These were not failures. These were merely wrong actions that accumulated and brought you to where you are now. This is the moment of awakening. You can no longer be caught in the cycle of hoping for luck and fearing failure. You must step out of the victim game and enter the responsible player game. This means accepting with all your heart, if my results today are not desirable, it is because my decisions yesterday were not desirable. This is the hardest truth, but it is also the most beautiful, because the moment you accept it, you take control back from luck and fate and place it firmly in your own hands. You must shake hands with all your stupid past decisions, accept them, and then ask them, what lesson do you hold for me? This is how past mistakes are transformed into power-generating tools for your future. So stop lying to yourself. Your future was not stolen by fate. Your future was merely delayed by suboptimal performance at a few critical junctures in your life. That is a huge difference. A delay is recoverable, but theft is not. Now wake up and start planning for new, intelligent decisions. You can no longer place the responsibility for your results on an empty word like failure. Your power lies in the full acceptance of responsibility for your mistakes. That is the ultimate key to escaping this situation. Are you ready to accept this hard truth and act?
Chapter 4. Can I really rebuild my past? Let's be honest, you cannot turn back time. That undesirable result is recorded and you cannot erase it.
but you possess the power to rewrite the definition and meaning of your past, and that is more powerful than turning back time. Until yesterday, that bitter event was an eternal failure on your mental resume that made you feel helpless every time you looked at it. Today, by changing your perspective, you must rewrite it as a key data point for your future success. That moment was not a failure. It was a costly scientific experiment that told you this variable does not yield the desired result, and this information is worth gold. This means you did not fail. You simply found thousands of ways that do not work, and that has brought you closer to the way that does. This is the very difference between a failure-oriented person and a results-oriented person. The failure-oriented person ties their emotions to their identity after a bitter event and says, "I am a failure," and stagnates. But the results-oriented person sets emotions aside and analyzes the data. They say, "My performance in this period led to an undesirable result. I need to review my performance." See how simply changing the words brings all the power back into your hands. You must apply this magic to all aspects of your life. Every time your mind tries to tell you, "You failed," immediately correct it. "I achieved an undesirable result that I must analyze and correct." Take this mind game seriously, because the words you use create your reality. The key to rebuilding the past lies in extracting the treasure. All those dark moments where you blamed yourself are full of hidden treasures of information. These treasures are lessons that can only be gained by paying the heavy price of experience. If you failed in a relationship, undesirable result, the treasure is that I had weaknesses in choosing or communicating. Now I know how to recognize the right person. If you failed in business, the treasure is that I had weaknesses in marketing or financial management. Now I know which skills I need to invest in. These treasures are your real assets for the future. You are no longer a failed person with a heavy burden. You are an experienced analyst full of vital data for victory. You must look at your past not with shame, but with the pride of a seasoned warrior. You fell, you suffered, but you got up and learned from your falls. Now is the time to turn those lessons into your new weapons. Do not let the shadow of shame prevent your flight any longer. Failure was a myth, an illusion that kept you silenced. You are never at ground zero. You are always at the point of accumulated experience. This accumulation of experience is an asset that no one can take from you. This is what distinguishes you from people who never take risks and always stay in the safest spot. You had the courage to fight, and now you have found the courage to awaken. So put your past to rest right now. Seal it not as the book of failure, but as chapters full of learning in the grand book of your life. You are the only one who can determine the meaning of these chapters. Choose to see them as reasons for inability, or choose to accept them as signs of resilience and your source of unparalleled knowledge. By changing the meaning, the past no longer weighs you down. It transforms into a powerful lever that propels you toward the desirable future. This is not easy, but it is the only way to permanently save yourself from the illusion of failure.
Chapter 5. Why do I fall every time I start? You must confess that this is the most painful part of the story. You start with passion. You do all the planning, but just before reaching the desired result, a hidden self-sabotage pattern knocks you down and returns you to the same point of undesirable results. You think you have bad luck or a character flaw, but the truth is, the problem lies in your deep-rooted wrong habits. On a conscious level, you want to succeed, but subconsciously, you remain committed to the same old behavioral patterns that led you to undesirable results in the past. This is an internal contradiction. You are trying to go right with your left foot. This repeated falling is not failure, but subconscious loyalty to old wrong habits. Look at yourself. Do you constantly procrastinate at critical moments? Do you choose disorder when you need discipline? Do you say no when you should say yes?
These behaviors are the wrong actions we are talking about, and they are the result of deep programming in your mind. You must identify these patterns because they are the lines of code that constantly drive your system toward undesirable results. Until you find and rewrite this flawed code, no matter how motivated you are, you will always reach the same destination. This is the moment for an unfiltered confrontation with your fears. You might be afraid of success, not failure. Success brings more responsibility, raises expectations, and takes you out of the familiar, safe zone of being a loser. To protect you from this great fear, your mind has devised a shutdown mechanism, the execution of wrong actions at the critical moment that deliberately ruins the desirable outcome. This is a form of hidden self-harm that is justified under the name failure. Subconsciously, you don't want to accept the risk of success because it is unfamiliar to you, and for your mind, unfamiliar equals danger. The way out of this vicious cycle is to stop focusing on the final result and focus instead on the quality of your moment-to-moment decision-making. At every step, ask yourself, is this action the same wrong action that previously led me to an undesirable result? If the answer is yes, you must consciously change that action. This is where you step out of the subconscious autopilot and enter a state of complete awareness. Every time you identify a wrong behavior and consciously stop it, you are deleting a line of flawed code from your mind. This is like a computer game. Until you fix that bug, the wrong behavior, the game will keep crashing. Undesirable result. You must accept this truth. Your repeated falls are not a sign of bad luck, but a sign of perseverance in executing wrong habits. Wake up! Instead of cursing the result, look at your daily habits. Which small decision brought you to the edge of the abyss? If you examine these patterns bravely and without judgment, you will see that no external force is at work. It was only you who created that undesirable result with your unconscious actions. Now that you know where the problem lies, excuses are no longer accepted. Be ready, because in the next chapter, I will tell you how to break these patterns forever and exit this repetitive game.
Chapter 6. Should I finally give up on my dream? In your darkest moments, this question poisons you like a deadly venom. Wouldn't it be better to finally give up this damned dream and find peace? You ask this because you think that undesirable result from the past was a final farewell to your dream. This is a fatal mistake. You don't really want to abandon the dream. You want to abandon the pain of the wrong methods you used. These are two different things. Your dream is your inner compass. If you abandon it, you lose all direction and get lost in the wilderness of life. But the methods you have used so far to reach your dream are like old, torn maps that are no longer effective. Wake up! You must burn the map, not the destination. You have constantly told yourself stories that say, "I tried, it didn't work, so I wasn't worthy." This is the victim's narrative, trying to save itself from further judgment by abandoning the dream. But the philosophical truth is, abandoning a dream is the worst kind of failure because it is essentially surrendering to the fear of trying again. Every time you get an undesirable result, your dream says only one thing. Okay, we tried this path, now where's the next one? Dreams demand that you be flexible, not fragile. If your dream is big and real enough, every undesirable result should only convince you that you need to act deeper and differently, not that you should completely leave the field. Let's look at the great stories of the world. Every hero has been knocked down repeatedly by undesirable results, but none of them abandoned their dream. They only realized that, for example, their sword was dull or their map was wrong. They never accepted the idea that I failed and I'm not worthy of being a hero. You must transform your dream from a mere goal into a journey of awakening and learning. In this journey, every undesirable result is like a refueling station where you stop,
learn a lesson, gain energy, and correct your course. Stations are not the final destination. If you treat the station as the destination and stay there, then you have truly failed. You must accept this hard truth. Your dream will never be realized with half-hearted effort and wrong actions. The dream may be the same, but you have not yet become the person who should fulfill that dream. Therefore, your current undesirable result is merely an invitation to become a more powerful version of yourself. Remember this, the dream is the same, but you must change. With every mistake you identify and every decision you correct, you are building that perfect version of yourself who deserves the dream. So, hold the dream tight and focus all your energy on changing your current wrong behaviors. Abandoning your dream means abandoning your inner power to create reality. If you give up your dream, you lose the reason to endure the pain of change, and you sink into an aimless life of false calm. You must reverse this question. If I abandon this dream, will my life be bearable? If the answer is no, then keep the dream and start a ruthless, harsh review of your methods. Know that as long as the dream keeps you alive, you have not failed. You have just been learning a lesson that came at a cost. Now it is time for action, not surrender.
Chapter 7. How is my mind blocking my success? You must understand that your main enemy is not outside, but hidden within your internal dialogue. Chapter 7. How is my mind blocking my success? You must understand that your main enemy is not outside, but hidden within your internal dialogue. Your mind is a survival tool, not a success tool. Its main job is to keep you in the safe and familiar zone, even if that zone is one of poverty, pain, and undesirable results. Why? Because to the mind, the unknown equals danger. And what is more unknown than great success? This is where your mind, your smartest tool, begins to sabotage you. It uses the word failure as a weapon to convince you that trying again will only bring more pain and that it is better to stop here. Do not underestimate the power of words. When you say, "I failed," you're issuing an identity verdict. Your mind immediately accepts this identity and uses all its resources to prove this identity. It tells you, failed people do these things: procrastination, avoiding risk, making excuses, so you must do these things too. And you unconsciously take wrong actions that lead you to the same undesirable result. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy that started with one damned word. You must break this game and radically change your internal language. From today on, you must delete the word failure from your mental dictionary. Replace it with undesirable result or operational feedback. Why is this so important? Because these words do not target your identity. They target your performance. Your mind cannot argue with the identity of a failure, but it can correct wrong performance. If you say, "I made a mistake," the mind immediately begins to analyze, "What did I do wrong? How can I fix it?" This is the point of power that moves you from passivity to action. You must be the strict guardian of your mind's gate. Every time that insidious inner voice says, "You can't," you must forcefully remind it that you only got an undesirable result, and this result is valuable data that you now know how not to use. This is a constant battle, and you must be the winner of this field. Your mind feeds on darkness, on those moments when you feel lonely and helpless. But when you meet it with the light of awareness and use the language of decisiveness, it can no longer stop you. Convince it with your new data and realities. This is the ultimate awakening. You are now reprogramming your mental hardware. All those negative sentences, all those limiting beliefs were merely codes that needed to be debugged and deleted. Now, by focusing on performance instead of identity,
You are building a new operating system for yourself that only works on the principle of results orientation. This new language is the key to your freedom. Use it with power.
Chapter 8. What is the ultimate formula for turning mistakes into a desirable result? Enough with philosophy and psychoanalysis. Now it is time for action. The ultimate formula for escaping the cycle of undesirable results is a simple, ruthless, three-part formula that you must execute at all times. Absolute responsibility plus ruthless analysis equals targeted action. This formula leaves no room for excuses, luck, or the past. You are a results-generating machine, and these 3 steps change your performance system to a state of continuous victory. This formula transforms you from an emotional victim into a logical architect. Step 1. Embrace absolute responsibility. Stand in front of the mirror and say with all your heart, I am 100% responsible for this undesirable result. No one else is to blame. This acceptance is the hardest part because it targets your pride and fear, but it is the only way to reclaim your power. As long as you attribute a small part of the fault to someone else, you have handed over a part of your power to change to them. But when you accept full responsibility, all the power returns to you. See this sentence not as a self-reproach, but as your declaration of independence from fate. Step 2. Ruthless analysis. Now that you have accepted responsibility, you must set aside emotions and dissect that undesirable result like a scientist. Ask yourself, exactly which of my wrong actions led to this result? Not who or why. Ask, was it a lack of planning? Was it rushing the execution? Was it fear of investment? This analysis must be precise and without justification. This step is the treasure extraction we talked about in previous chapters. You're gathering data that no one else has, because only you have walked this path. Step 3. Targeted action. Based on the precise data from Step 2, there is no more time for guesswork. Define a small, measurable, operational step that is exactly opposite to the previous wrong action. If the wrong action was a lack of planning, the next step is, I will spend 2 hours today on meticulous planning. If the wrong action was rushing the execution, the next step is, I will do my work 10% slower and with higher focus tomorrow. This step must be so small and clear that the fear of failing again can no longer stop you. This targeted action is the starting point for desirable results. This formula is a continuous cycle. With every new result, desirable or undesirable, you return to Step 1. This cycle is no longer the vicious cycle of failure, but the cycle of mastery and continuous learning. You no longer fail or win. You only create results and optimize your performance system based on them. This formula frees you from all forms of victimhood and transforms you into the only thing you truly are, a powerful learning machine that is constantly improving.
Chapter 9. Where and how should I take my next step to start anew? The biggest lie is the idea that you have to start anew. You never stopped. You merely gave your system wrong commands, and now you must correct those commands. Therefore, the first step is break the mental freeze. Tell yourself that you are moving right now. You just need to change your direction from producing undesirable results to producing desirable results. This change is not a dramatic moment. It is a conscious, instantaneous decision that you must make right now. The next step for practical action is radical miniaturization. Your mistake was trying to take a 10-meter step and failing. This time, take a 10-centimeter step. Ask yourself, what is the smallest, simplest thing I can do today that is guaranteed to be contrary to yesterday's wrong action? Not, how do I change my whole life? Remove your focus from the big goal
and place it solely on the small, different next action. This smallness has power because it paralyzes fear. Fear is only afraid of big actions, but it shows no reaction to a 10-centimeter step. You must build an anti-mistake plan. Your daily to-do list should not only include things I must do, but also things I must not do. These are the wrong behaviors like procrastination, distraction, negativity that previously led you to the undesirable result. Start every day with complete awareness of the wrong actions you must avoid. This focus on avoiding mistakes automatically guides you toward correct behaviors and desirable results. Success is often the result of eliminating mistakes, not just adding new tasks. Find your power in the moment. Don't ask, "How do I succeed in 6 months?" Ask, "How do I make a different decision in the next 5 minutes?" This teaches you that your control is always in the present moment. Big successes are merely the accumulation of small, correct decisions in the present moment. You must learn to rely on instantaneous personal discipline instead of relying on false motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline keeps you on track even when you have no desire. This discipline is the external manifestation of accepting absolute responsibility. So stop waiting for tomorrow, Monday, or the new year. Right now, define a very small step that you know is technically contrary to that previous wrong action. Do it, complete it, and prove to yourself that you can create a different result. This moment is your rebirth, not as a new person, but as the same person who finally decided to take command of their actions. Take your step, fast and small.
Chapter 10. What if I fail again? This is the final, insidious, and cunning voice that was waiting for its chance. What if I fail again? This is the last lie your mind tells you to bring you back to the safe zone of failure. But now you are armed with tools that neutralize this lie forever. My firm answer is, you will not fail again, because in your mental lexicon, the word failure no longer exists. You are only faced with the possibility of another undesirable result. And this is a second chance, not a catastrophe. When you encounter this tempting question, immediately activate the 3-step formula from Chapter 8. Absolute responsibility plus ruthless analysis equals targeted action. Every subsequent undesirable result is a valuable lesson that forces you to delve deeper into the analysis phase and identify more variables. You no longer look at the result with fear, but with the excitement of a researcher seeking new information. This is an infinite game where every result, whether desirable or undesirable, only makes you better prepared for the next step. You don't fail, you merely optimize. This last lie tries to return you to the point of finality. It says, if it doesn't work out again, then you must stop. But the truth is, the journey of growth and results creation never ends. As long as you breathe, results are being created. Accepting the fact that you are an eternal learner frees you from the heavy burden of the need to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to be consciously moving and accepting and correcting your mistakes. You must accept the possibility of another undesirable result with complete serenity. It is part of the game. But this time the difference is in your reaction. Those dark days when you drowned in the sorrow of failure for weeks or months are over. Now, an undesirable result is just a mandatory pause for data analysis. You give yourself time to understand what your wrong action was. You write it down, and with a different decision, you immediately resume the path.
Your speed of returning to the path will be the only measure of your inner strength. This book freed you from the illusion of failure to bring you to the truth of responsibility. Do not worry about "what if I fail again?" because that word is dead. Worry about handing your power back to this lie. Accept that you are a powerful result creator, and you will continue to create desirable results until your last breath, even if you have to correct your methods thousands of times. This is the ultimate victory, the unconditional acceptance of the continuous flow of learning and action.
Conclusion. You have reached the end of this journey of awakening. All the pain you carried for years, all those feelings of helplessness, were not the result of failure, but the result of hiding behind that empty word. You now know that the only thing that truly exists is results. Results that you have created with your own hands, with your own decisions and actions. You can no longer lie. You can no longer run. Absolute power is in your hands. This book did not give you false hope. It gave you the naked truth. Now, it is time to confess with all your heart, I have created my current result with my own hands, and therefore I will change it with my own hands. This confession is all you need to act. Go and write your new reality based on responsibility and awareness.